Africa is the second largest continent in the world, covering approximately 30.37 million square kilometers and home to over 1.4 billion people. Known for its rich cultural heritage, diverse ecosystems, and abundant natural resources, Africa is a land of immense potential and complexity. The continent comprises 54 recognized countries, each with unique languages, traditions, and histories, making Africa one of the most culturally diverse regions on Earth. Africa is the cradle of humanity, where the earliest human ancestors originated millions of years ago. The continent has a long and rich history of ancient civilizations, such as ancient Egypt, Carthage, Mali Empire, and Great Zimbabwe, which contributed to global advancements in science, mathematics, and culture. From the vibrant music and dance of West Africa to the intricate beadwork and art of the Maasai in East Africa, the continent is a global hub of creativity and innovation. Festivals, storytelling traditions, and cuisines like jollof rice, injera, and tagine showcase Africa's rich heritage. Africa is richly endowed with natural resources, including gold, diamonds, oil, and cobalt. But Africa now faces significant challenges, including poverty, unemployment, political instability, and health crises. Despite these resources, why African countries are so poor? Let's find out. The paradox of African countries being rich in natural resources, yet experiencing widespread poverty, is complex and multifaceted. Several interconnected factors contribute to this situation. First reason for this situation is colonial legacy. The colonial legacy in Africa refers to the lasting impacts of European colonization, which shaped the continent's political, social, and economic landscapes. Between the late 19th and mid-20th centuries, European powers such as Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, and Portugal divided Africa into colonies without regard for existing ethnic, cultural, or geographical boundaries. While colonization officially ended with the wave of independence movements in the mid-20th century, its consequences remained deeply ingrained in African societies. During colonial rule, European powers extracted resources from African countries to benefit their own economies, often without building infrastructure or investing in local development. Post-independence, many countries inherited economies that were designed to export raw materials rather than develop diverse and sustainable industries. Still now, Western countries ruled African nations, but African Union still silent. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Untold Truth. Let's continue now. Why African Union, AU, is silent about European countries. Many African nations rely on financial aid, trade partnerships, and loans from European countries and institutions like the EU, IMF, and World Bank. Speaking out too strongly against European countries could jeopardize these relationships and vital funding. It's really harsh to hear that Africa's current situation is also for those Western countries. But AU itself depends on Western donors, including European governments, to fund its operations. European colonialism left African countries in position of economic and institutional dependency. Many African leaders are cautious about directly confronting former colonial powers, fearing economic or diplomatic repercussions. Agreements signed during decolonization often preserved European influence in Africa's governance and resources, making it difficult to challenge European interests openly. The AU's apparent silence is more a reflection of its cautious diplomacy and internal challenges than a lack of awareness. Strengthening its independence and collective voice will empower it to address global inequalities more assertively. How AU address these imbalances? African countries needs to reduce financial dependence on external donors by fostering self-reliance among member states. They have to strengthen intra-African trade and development through initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area, foster unity among its member states, to present a cohesive stance on global issues, including relations with Europe, and also need transparency in working. Weak governance and corruption is the another reason for poverty. Yes, weak governance and corruption are significant contributors to poverty in Africa, compounding the challenges of development despite the continent's vast resources and potential. These issues undermine progress by creating environments where public resources are mismanaged, development initiatives fail, and inequality persists. Here's how weak governance and corruption contribute to poverty. Transparency and accountability in resource management are often lacking, leading to inefficiencies and mismanagement. Western countries use those corrupted people to control over Africa. Poor governance and corruption have diverted resource wealth away from public use. In many cases, profits from natural resources are siphoned off by elites or multinational corporations instead of being reinvested into local economies. Multinational companies dominate the extraction and export of Africa's resources, often negotiating contracts that favor their interests over those of local populations. Those corrupted contracts makes Western countries richest day by day by using some corrupted employee of Africa for their own profit. But African countries are getting themselves under the debt sea. Natural resources can fuel conflicts, especially in regions with weak governance. Armed groups and governments often fight over control of lucrative resources like diamonds, gold, or oil. Such conflicts destroy infrastructure, displace populations, and disrupt economic activity. Africa often faces unfair terms of trade, exporting raw materials at low prices while importing expensive finished goods because of global trade inequalities. By Western countries, many African countries struggle with high levels of debt, often resulting from structural adjustment programs imposed by international financial institutions. The international financial system and trade agreements sometimes perpetuate this imbalance. Because of poor economy, Africa can't develop its education and health systems. Poor education and health systems limit the ability of the population to participate in and benefit from the resource economy. Without a skilled workforce, it is challenging to develop industries that add value to natural resources. All the sector for development in Africa are under the control of European Union. How would Africans address the challenges faced by Africa today? Africa is actively addressing European economic control through regional integration, diversification, and renegotiating trade terms. Initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, aim to boost intra-African trade and reduce dependency on Europe, while countries focus on adding value to raw materials and building industries. Efforts to tackle illicit financial flows and reduce reliance on foreign aid are paired with expanding partnerships with emerging powers like China and India, providing alternatives to European influence. Additionally, African nations are advocating for fair trade, debt relief, and reparations for colonial exploitation, signaling a shift toward self-reliance and equitable economic partnerships. African nations have shown remarkable resilience, with youth-led movements, innovation in technology, and growing regional cooperation paving the way for a brighter future. Harnessing Africa's resource wealth effectively requires tackling these systemic issues and fostering inclusive, sustainable development. Do you think the success will the war against poverty? Let us know in the comments section. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: